In this video I'm going to decode the Illuminati game card called the Frog God and show how this is one of the most important cards in the deck, and it explains all the other cards in the deck. Now, the Illuminati game cards were made in the early 1980s and they've predicted event after event after event. Now this Frog God, which looks very strange, actually represents the goddess Isis, and so it's one of the most important cards in the deck, and it explains the prophetic ability of these cards. Now let me explain to you a bit more, as this will reveal the rituals and practices of the Illuminati. You have this article today in the Mail about Nacho Vidal, who's being charged with manslaughter, and he performed a mystical ritual with a group of other people where they inhaled the vapor of a psychedelic toad. Now toads and frogs, they're related, and through this vapor one of his friends died, and there was an 11th month investigation. So you have Masonic symbolism there with the 11, and the frog contains DMT. Now DMT opens your pineal gland, and the pineal gland is to do with prophecy. Now people like David Icke and Graham Hancock have been promoting the use of ayahuasca, which also has DMT. When you take DMT, which is connected with the pineal gland, you start to think that everything in reality is an illusion. Hence the philosophies of David Icke. It's all related to the Illuminati. And so what's interesting here is that Nacho Vidal is a porn star. George Floyd, the elite, have porn stars invited to the rituals to take drugs and perform sexual acts and perform their rituals where they open up the third eye of the pineal gland using DMT. So you have here that frogs also, in the Amazon, they have this hallucinogenic property, DMT, and it's a new craze. But this has actually been used for years and years and years, for thousands of years in Egypt with the frog god Hathor. Now the frog god Hathor was an important symbol of fertility, drugs, ritual, sex, but she also had the negative side, which was associated with hatred and war. And she is also associated with the goddess Isis. So you have it here. Because through her hallucinogenic properties, she opens up the third eye of Isis. But remember, she also has a negative aspect. So you have here the goddess Hathor, and it explains to you that Hathor was known as the Eye of Ra. So you can see there, she's known as the third eye. She's also associated with Aphrodite, the goddess of love. But remember that these goddesses, they have two aspects to them. They have a positive aspect and a negative aspect, and that is the religion of the occult. That you unite the two opposites to create the one. And you can see this with Spike Lee's film Do the Right Thing, and that in that film he predicts the death of George Floyd through the character Radio Raheem. And go to watch my video and you will see my reasoning behind that. So you have Spike Lee, who is a Freemason, who goes around wearing a Eye of Horus everywhere, an Eye of Horus cross. He also wears a cross with skulls, and he's doing the love and hate on the hands, which was performed by Radio Raheem. And it represents the two opposites, and you can see this in the Black Lives Matter campaign, where it's divided between black and white. It actually has occult significance to it. So it's like the goddess Aphrodite and Mars. They are both connected to each other, and in fact they were lovers, because they are aspects of each other, and united you create the one. That is why the occult is so obsessed with the hermaphrodite, because it has both aspects of the male and the female. You have George Floyd. He is likely to have been a Freemason. He has this huge Freemasonic eagle on his chest. His so-called brother, Stephen Jackson, who has the same name as the creator of the Illuminati card games, is a Freemason, and their father was a Freemason. And remember that the elites use porn stars in their rituals, just like the film Eyes Wide Shut. And you have Donald Trump depicted as a frog. Again, this relates to the frog goddess and that card. You have the crazy frog, because obviously the frog is connected to DMT.
What's going on?
That's why he's called the crazy frog. you see DMT and its connection with the third eye, and when you take it, you realize that life is just an illusion, and the pineal gland is also connected with prophecy. And you have people like David Icke and Graham Hancock, who believe civilization goes all the way back to Atlantis, promoting hallucinogenic drugs which contain DMT, and their whole philosophies are based on DMT. Now I'm going to show you a clip. From this documentary on Aleister Crowley, where they explain how taking drugs and doing sex rituals opens up your third eye, and then you can communicate with demonic spirits. Okay, watch this.
Far weaker character plunged on Neuberg, and of course dragged him into this whole business of black magic.
Neuberg was subjected to a series of sadistic acts designed to test the poet's dedication to the beast. The two set off to Algeria to perform Enochian magic, a dark and dangerous set of occult rituals. They walked deep into the Sahara for 2 days until they reached the point of exhaustion.
I think the reason for the desert is it's so desolate, it's so isolated, that there's nothing for your consciousness to latch onto, there are no markings, there's no change in the desert. And I think this beats your consciousness into a kind of a state of sensory deprivation. I think this is perfect for the sort of magic that Crowley was doing. This is what he wanted to do. And they really were stepping off into the unknown.
Disorientated by the effects of the desert and copious quantities of hashish and mescaline, Crowley and Neuberg embarked on the climax of the ritual, summoning Choronzon, the dweller of the abyss, seen within the occult world as the devil himself.
This particular ritual was extremely dangerous. Make no mistake, they were opening the gates of hell. The opening lines are Zazaz, Zazaz, Nasatana, Zazaz. And these words are literally to open the gates of hell.
He knew, and this sounds a weird thing to say, he knew that magic works. We don't believe in it nowadays, but in point of fact, all that you're really doing is trying to persuade forces that do exist outside this world to come into this world. And to do so, you have to serve as that passage yourself to a large extent. And that's the reason the magician gets inside a circle and stays inside the circle. Now, Crowley liked playing with fire. He drew the circle around Neuberg, and he himself was outside the circle. Well, magicians don't do that. It really is dangerous. You know, people can go mad. They suddenly hear voices inside their heads that they can't get rid of. Now, Crowley, fortunately, was such a bastard. He was more or less immune.
Crowley gets seized with a passion to perform a sexual act, and Crowley is the passive partner in the sex act. And at the point of orgasm, Crowley has like a mystic revelation. He sees a blinding white light. He seems to commune with the secret chiefs, and he suddenly realises that sex can be a sacrament, can be in praise of the gods. It's like a shortcut. It's a short circuit to go straight in to achieve whatever you want to achieve magically.
The effect of the rituals left Neuberg a shattered man.
So there you go. He has a sex ritual full on drugs, opens up the third eye, and at the moment where he has anal sex, it's a way of summoning these spirits to give him prophetic knowledge and deeper knowledge about the world. And that is what this frog card is about. It's all connected to those aspects. It is all connected to those aspects of Isis and the use of DMT to open up the pineal gland. Okay, thank you.